Dear all, welcome to the Orchid Man channel, and this is Rob speaking. And in today's episode, I would like to talk about. Oh, my camera is going wild. I would like to talk about American hybrids. And this is going to be a video from the perspective of a Paphiopedilum grower, not some random YouTube channel that thinks they know everything just because they have a lot of orchids. Anyway, rant over. So, Paphiopedilum American hybrids, or complex hybrids as we call them here in Europe. So American hybrids, the name comes because during the First and Second World War, a lot of European nurseries that were in danger of being destroyed by the invading first German and then Nazi forces have exported their current plants at the time to the US, and because obviously the war and its devastation, a lot of those nurseries actually never recovered, because the cost first of all, secondly because the owners, some of them have been killed or died, and a lot of other reasons. And also when the plants arrived in US, this was the beginning of a new breeding era, and the Americans decided to make the flowers bigger, bolder, more open, more spotty, more perfect, more everything. The typical American, it needs to be bigger, it needs to be better, which I don't complain about because I absolutely love the American hybrids and I love the way they decide to hybridize them. So as you can see, the one on the camera right now, this is the typical and prime example of the American hybridization. This is the so-called Paphiopedilum Bulldog American hybrid. Why is it a bulldog? Because it's big and it's huge. The flowers are massive. This is a very heavy plant, and it's also very heavy in its beauty. Not all people like them. Some say this is too much. Some say this is absolutely perfect. For me, this is absolutely perfect. I'm extremely happy with this one. Why is a complex hybrid American type? Because most of the plants that actually go in here, the parents, started with the actual Paphiopedilum group, which contains plants like Gratrixianum, Charles Worthy, Villosum, and other plants that basically created the basis. And next came in the Parvies for the spotting, some of them, like in terms of Paphiopedilum demura, which is a greatly awarded one. And you have occasionally, very, very rarely, they would put some other mixes in there just to make it bolder and brighter and try a new technique. If I turn this around, you can actually see with terms of this plant, because the plant itself is extremely vigorous, because that's why they're being bred to be big and bold. The flower has a very, very heavy spotting on the dorsal petal and the color is very deep. Now, give me a second and I will show you another example of a American type hybrid. Now, this is the complex hybrid of Paphiopedilum lancer, Balgrose and Untitled Chapter, which are absolutely famous grandparents. As you can see, this one compared to the previous one I have showed you is much smaller. So this is the so-called breeding program of the compact teacup Paphiopedilums, which actually hasn't started recently till the last 20-25 years. However, this is still the typical American style. So the hybrids, the flowers are big, they're very bold in color. However, they're only grown on much smaller plants. So as you can see, this is the other type of American hybrid. So you can be confused because you can see a lot of orchids which have a common general group name, but they do not look the same. Now, if you hold on for a second, I'm going to show you a third and fourth example of a American hybrid, which looks totally different than the other two I have shown you just a second ago. Right, so this one is a American hybrid bred in Europe. which is a bit confusing. However, yes, the Europeans did go on the hook and decided to do exactly the same as Americans, a bit like cheeky way of continuing the fashion, which is absolutely huge right now, and the breeding program. So the Europeans have a bit of a different approach. So this American hybrid is much closer to the parents and grandparents. It shows the big similarities in shape. It's much slimmer. There is more color in it, and you can actually, looking by it, you can think that you probably will recognize who are the grandparents of this. And yeah, this is compared to the other two I have shown you just before. This is much slimmer. This has more shape. This has more frolling on the dorsal petal and the side petals. This is a totally different way of thinking when it comes to American hybrids. However, still, it is an American hybrid. And the last one, as I promised, which is the fourth one, which is a American hybrid which has been crossed with Charles Worthy, which has been a typical grandparent for all of the complex hybrid in Paphiopedilum. Now, as you can see, there is a lot of similarities in shape to the previous ones. However, this one shows also a very similar look connection to the Mordier flowers. So if you ever seen the red Mordier, the vinicolour ones, you will think this might be a similar plant. However, it's not. So this is the American hybrid breeding program attempt to make their flowers look bigger, bolder, and red, very similar to the red Mordier types. So yeah, this is the short video. What are American hybrids? So as I said before, this is the program that has been started by shipping all the old European plants during the First and Second War to the US, and the Americans have continued the breeding program till today to make the plants bigger and better. And this trend in the 60s and 70s came back to the Europe, where the whole economy has rebuilt, and the Europeans decided to go back to their own roots, to the hybridization programs, based most on the times but on the American hybridization programs. When it comes to the plants themselves, American hybrids are well known to be very resilient, very hard to kill unless you put bleach in them, and they're very, very vigorous. And those plants are very cheaply available on every single big shop, and usually in autumn and early spring. And those plants are absolutely amazing and very easy to care for. Obviously, they will require a sunny location. Do not believe anyone who says that Paphiopedilum needs to be in shade. Unless you're living in Sahara, yes, they need shade. They need either morning or evening sun and or very bright shady location. So you don't have to be direct sun, but it needs to be still light. And they like to be watered. Don't overwater them. Don't keep them in muddy puddles. But also do not let them dry. So if you're living in a country like, say, the Northern Hemisphere, it is perfectly fine to water them once a week. If you're living in the Mediterranean or closer to the equator, you will probably have to water them twice a week. And fertilizing is good and required because obviously those plants do not get all of the nutrients from the medium, so you have to replenish the food. So yeah, as I said, this is the Paphiopedilum American Hybrid, one of the prime examples of proud breeding, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And one of my favorite Paphiopedilums. If you like this short video, please do subscribe to my channel to see more. And if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And I love to hear more from you. So see you. Bye.